Oh, there we go. That's what you were looking for. So apparently when I set this up, I have to uncheck the camera that it's set to. Thanks for coming back. The problem was that I had to uncheck or change the drop down box from the camera it was set to just something else, and then change it back, and then it would go active. So sorry about that. I'll try to do better next time. So there was to have been live music provided by Music on the Mall featuring Allie Garland until 6 o'clock. I saw Canopium workers setting up a tent for it around noon, but it's not there now. I'm guessing they were scared off by some dark clouds that appeared around 1 o'clock. This is confirmed by their 1:15 p.m. Facebook post that said it's been canceled due to the weather. Good afternoon, or if you're watching the live replay later, good day. It is 4:24 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday, June 19, 2021. It is the first federally recognized Juneteenth in U.S. history. We are live on the Kalamazoo Mall in downtown Kalamazoo, Michigan. The north is to the right in your video window. Kalamazoo experienced heavy rainfalls both this morning and yesterday morning, which were needed to help resolve the drought we've been experiencing since last winter. According to National Weather Service measurements at the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport, 1.13 inches of rain was recorded yesterday and, believe it or not, 2.53 inches today. That is a 2-day total of 3.66 inches of rain. That's quite a lot. I enjoy communicating with viewers and sharing my knowledge of Kalamazoo, so please don't hesitate to use the chat to talk to me. The City of Kalamazoo will be holding its biannual City Commission election this fall. I've invited mayoral candidate Ben Stanley to stop by this afternoon, but he probably won't be here. In the meantime, let's have a look at the agenda packets for Monday evening's City Commission meeting. Again, the City Commission will hold a 100% virtual meeting with no option for in-person participation, as they have been doing since April 2020. In fact, the meeting restrictions are identical to what they were in April 2020, with no loosening of restrictions over the past 14 months. This despite Michigan Governor Whitmer planning to lift all indoor capacity restrictions and indoor face covering mandates on July 1, the Kalamazoo City Commission plans to continue 100% virtual meetings for at least an additional 2 months until August 31. The Grand Rapids City Commission plans to resume in-person meetings on July 13. The Portage City Council began holding hybrid meetings nearly a year ago in July 2020. So, there is one thing at least that is happening today. At least it was happening last night. The UKC Dog Show. Last I knew, the UKC had a headquarters on East Kilgore Road at South Burdick, where South Burdick ends. The dog show is closed to spectators. It's running yesterday, today, and tomorrow at the fairgrounds, now called the Kalamazoo County Expo Center. In all capital letters, this event is closed to spectators. But they were having an outdoor event last night on the mall next to the Radisson. Let's read the description. Dog show featuring conformation, agility, obedience, rally obedience, terrier racing, lure coursing, dock diving, and weight pull events. The events showcase the UKC philosophy of the total dog, in which a dog should not only have the beauty necessary for the traditional show ring, but also the ability to perform the functions and duties for which its breed was originally created. I went out to the UKC Dog Show, 10 to 15 years ago, and I saw what I think was the obedience competition, like the amateur level, and the dogs and their owners would be in a room, and the owners would tell their dogs to stay, and then they would leave the room, and then the dogs were judged on their ability to sit there and stay still and not move around and not whine and not pee themselves or whatever, until their owners returned, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes later. And it was hilarious. Just some dogs just couldn't handle it. Oh, I'm a dog. I don't know. Has my master been gone for 3 seconds or 3 hours? I don't know. I'm a dog. I can't tell time. So anyway, I don't know if, well, it says it ends at 4 and it's 4:29. So conceivably we might see some of those people walk by this evening. There's a poochie for you. Probably not in the dog show, though. Okay, you're going to be reading the City Commission agenda with me, as I am also seeing it for the first time. These are released by the end of business day, Friday preceding the meetings. They will continue having a committee of the whole meeting at 5 o'clock. And the only things really on that agenda are a review of items on upcoming City Commission agendas, and then results of the 2021 National Community Survey / Kalamazoo. Okay, and then the main meeting at 7 o'clock. The mayor will call the meeting to order, and they'll do the roll call. And since the state law on virtual meetings changed, I don't know, end of last year, when they do the roll call, they not only have to say they're present or here, or however they wish to respond to the city clerk, but they also have to give their physical location. They've all that I've seen have all said they're in Kalamazoo, specifically the city of Kalamazoo, to be distinguished from the township of Kalamazoo. I know at one library board meeting, one of their members was participating from Florida. But that's a thing they do now with the virtual meetings. The opening invocation will be given by Pastor Chuck Mordyke, Moerdyk, Mordyke, from the North Presbyterian Church of Kalamazoo, and the agenda here, it's got Kalamazoo with 3 O's. And I didn't know that North Presbyterian Church was still operating. I thought North Presbyterian Church closed and they merged with First Presbyterian. Proclamation for St. Luke's Church diaper bank distribution of 1 millionth diaper. Well, isn't that exciting? One public hearing to receive comments on a resolution approving a project plan for water system improvements and designated James J. Baker, P.E., as the authorized project representative. Director James Baker is the Director of Public Services, so he's one level below the city manager. There are 17 items on the consent agenda. Now, with the public hearings, that is the only time on the virtual meetings that the public can participate other than the non-agenda comment. They should have a separate item in the voicemail menu to comment on this public hearing item. And they will play those comments separately, or they should play them separately. I don't know. But then the consent agenda, there are 17 items, and what happens is, unless a member of the public or the city commission removes one of these items from the consent agenda, it will remain on the consent agenda. The city manager will read it, and then they will vote on it all as one package. If anyone removes it from the consent agenda, it will be moved to the regular agenda where the city commissioner, city staff, and the public can comment on it, and it will be voted on separately. The items on the consent agenda are approval of a 3-year contract with Trace 3 through the MyDeal Cooperative Purchasing Program for the purchase of Cisco SmartNet licenses in the amount of $347,000 $386.59. The My Deal Cooperative is something the state of Michigan has set up, where municipalities, the state will negotiate a low price, and municipalities are invited to participate in that. They commonly purchase police cars through the My Deal thing, through Gorno Ford in Grand Rapids or something. And then any purchase that's any single transaction that's $100,000 or more, I believe, goes on the city commission consent agenda. If not, later moved to the full agenda. The second item on the consent agenda is approval of a 3-year contract with CDWG through the My Deal Cooperative Purchasing Program for the purchase of Microsoft licenses in the amount of $260,704.45. Number 3 is approval of a contract extension with Consumers Concrete Corporation for ready mixed concrete in the amount of $440,500 plus an estimated $50,000 for appropriate charges. Number 4 is approval of a contract with Severance Electric Company Incorporated for traffic signal upgrades to the intersection of South Street and Westnedge Avenue in the amount of $123,105.07. Whenever you see an oddball amount like that, it's because they took bids, and the bidders try oddball amounts because they don't know what amount is going to be necessary to beat their competition. So South Street and Westnedge, there was an accident there a few years ago. I tweeted pictures of it. The accident brought the traffic signals down to the ground. So I'm not sure if they're still doing repairs from that a few years ago or not. Number 5 is approval of a 24-month contract extension with Constellation New Energy Gas Division, LLC, in the amount of $705,000 for natural gas to be used to heat selected city facilities. Good job, Amy. Number 6 was in the news. Approval of a contract with Denny's Excavating for the construction of LaCrone Park splash pad in the amount of $421,077.05. That was in the news because, as I mentioned during last Saturday's live stream, I had attended the June 1st Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting, and Parks Director Fletcher talked about the problems with the splash pad construction at LaCrone Park as part of his director's report. And then the next day, I text messaged that to Brad Devereaux at the Kalamazoo Gazette as a story suggestion. And then Brad published that as a story on June 11th, I believe. And when I tipped it to Brad, all it was just like they had a non-performing contractor. But then when Brad published his story, the city had moved from non-performing contractor to cancellation of the contract. So I guess they're still going to try to get that splash pad installed this year. Number 7, first reading of an ordinance to rezone properties generally located south of Patterson Street, east of Edward Street, north of North Street, west of Verberg Park / Wahlberg Street from limited manufacturing M1 to Live Work 1 and Live Work 2, and from residential mixed use RMU with Riverfront Overlay District 1 and Natural Features Protection Overlay to limited manufacturing M1 with Natural Features Protection Overlay District, and schedule a public hearing for July 6, 2021. South of Patterson, I think that's probably, I'd have to look at that on a map. Well, if I go to number 7 in the agenda packet here, I can get a better idea of what's within that zone. That's probably let's see, it's the Edward Street part. That's kind of like the old Gibson guitar area. If I go to number 7, and here I can see a map. Each of these agenda items has an agenda packet with them. Okay. Background. The project is the second large rezoning in the Northside neighborhood since the Northside Neighborhood Plan. Like the first effort, this proposal is focusing on updating zoning that currently serves as a barrier to rehabbing existing homes and infill residential and commercial development to achieve the neighborhood plan strategies of providing housing for all residents' needs and to support businesses by Northside residents, specifically those African American and low income residents. The initial conversations for this work began pre COVID at a meeting at Mount Zion Church in January 2020. The work was paused due to COVID and restarted in March 2021. The primary focus of the rezoning proposal are the approximately 75 parcels zoned limited manufacturing M1. These properties currently contain a mix of residential structures, mostly 1 and 2 units, vacant properties, and a smaller number of commercial/light industrial uses. The primary challenges with current zoning designation of M1 are: 1. Expansion of existing or construction of new residential is not permitted. 2. Permitted use focuses on manufacturing. And 3. Permitted development is best suited for large lots on larger streets. To manage these concerns, planning staff recommends a rezoning to Live Work 1 and Live Work 2. These districts support the existing residential uses in the area, allowing for single-family homes, duplexes, and low-rise apartments. These districts also permit commercial uses. Live Work 1 and 2 districts recognize both the existing mix of uses and allow uses that meet with the vision for the area. Live Work 1 and 2 were created using the existing lot and block size in Kalamazoo. Future development that may occur within these districts will fit with the existing size and character of this area. The form-based requirements support the area as a walkable, active neighborhood. 2 parcels within the rezoning area are proposed to be zoned limited manufacturing M1. These 2 parcels, located on Patterson Street, east of Walbridge Street and across from properties zoned M2 district, are currently used for industrial purposes but are zoned residential mixed use RMU with the Riverfront Overlay District RO1 and Natural Features Protection NFP. RMU supports residential focused development, and the list of permitted uses is narrowed further with the Riverfront Overlay District 1. Rezoning these parcels to limited manufacturing M1 allows more intensive uses to stay on Patterson rather than in the neighborhood and on neighborhood streets, and will result in better flow of truck traffic for the industrial campus of Graphics Packaging. The NFP overlay that exists will remain in place, as the NFP overlay is designed to work with almost any permitted use. The case was heard by the Planning Commission on June 3rd. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend to the City Commission approval of the request. Well, Planning Commission, 95% of the time, they rubber stamp whatever city planning staff comes up with. So saying that the Planning Commission, there's a unanimous vote in the Planning Commission, it's not a big deal because they almost all are. It's factually correct, but don't get excited about it. Let's see. Well, and then there's more to the report. where it fits in with the master plan, and all the times that they gave presentations to the neighborhood and other boards. Fiscal impact. Rezoning this area will allow a more productive use of the existing structures and uses and will allow vacant lots to be developed. And here's emails from the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority saying they're in favor of it. There is an email from Jamari Bogan. He's a former football player at Western, has a Master of Business Administration degree. He is the CEO of Bogan Developments. His email, dated Wednesday, May 26, 2021, reads, Christina, happy Wednesday. Blow is a quote supporting the new zoning districts. You have done an elite job. And that would be a PJ Fleck term, elite. Elite in capital letters. Huge win, also in capital letters, 2 exclamation marks. I am in full support of the new zoning districts coming near 315 East Frank Street. The new zoning districts with local initiatives will help solve blight and bring new affordable housing options to our community. City staff and Christina have done an elite job moving this progress forward. Jamari Bogan. Okay. More information about well, here's a map. Doesn't really identify the properties by name. I'm thinking yeah. 315 East Frank Street was separately rezoned to Live Work 1 zoning ahead of this process to support a project with neighborhood-focused commercial on East Frank Street and row houses on Pitcher Street. And here's the part that I was curious about. 225 Parsons / former Gibson Guitar is not part of this rezoning work. So these are the properties that are east of the old Gibson Guitar / Heritage Guitar. Some of the properties may be vacant. It's hard to tell on this map. And then there are the draft minutes from the June Planning Commission meeting. So lots of stuff there. That's what consent agenda item 7 is, and that's a first reading. That means it will come up again in 2 weeks for final approval. Everything that the Planning Commission does, except for special use permits, every action that the Planning Commission takes, except for special use permits, are recommendations to the City Commission. So if the Planning Commission votes to rezone something, or a street vacation, amendments to the zoning ordinance, approval of the capital improvement program, or anything else, all of those are recommendations that go to the City Commission for final approval. The only thing that the Planning Commission gets final say on is special use permits. There are certain things that are permitted in certain zone districts, but only with a special use permit. If the Planning Commission approves that, then you have your special use permit. And I guess you keep that until you run afoul of a city. So that's a very long explanation of agenda item 7. Consent agenda item 7. Consent agenda item 8 is first reading of an ordinance to rezone 203, 207, and 211 Wall Street from commercial office to Live Work 1 and schedule a public hearing for July 6, 2021. So let's look at that agenda report as well. That's just 3 properties. Background: KNHS, which is Kalamazoo Neighborhood Housing Services, Home Ownership Services, has been working since 2019 on a plan for infill housing in this area of Vine neighborhood. KNHS is a partner in implementing the city's housing strategy. The city is supporting this work through Housing for All funding and through the duplex house plans the city had created for use here and in other infill locations. Planning division staff initiated a zoning conversion for this block and other blocks in Vine pre-COVID, but paused the process due to limited outreach opportunities. This block is being considered for Live Work 1 at that time. This block was being considered for Live Work 1 at that time. Yeah, this seems familiar. The rezoning of the parcels to Live Work 1 will allow for this infill housing project to move forward. The current CO, Commercial Office District, does not allow residential on the ground floor and permits a narrow list of commercial uses. Live Work 1 promotes a mix of commercial and residential uses in a scale that fits the character of the neighborhood. Specifically, allowing for buildings to be placed closer to the front property line, limiting height to 3 stories, and allowing more flexibility and maximum impervious coverage based on use. Impervious cover refers to whether or not the rainwater can penetrate the surface. So, dirt or lawn or gravel, that's an impervious surface because the rain falls on that, and then the water can get into the ground. Might want to take a look here for a moment. Those are impervious surfaces, just natural earth with vegetation on it, dirt, gravel, and an impervious surface would be concrete or asphalt, where there's no cracks in the soil or holes have been drilled in it. Something in between would be kind of like the brick here on the Kalamazoo Mall, except the brick here on the mall has a snowmelt system under it, and I don't believe the rainwater can penetrate through that. In fact, if the water was to penetrate through that, it probably would make the snowmelt pipes burst. So now the brick at Kalamazoo Valley Museum and behind KVCC's Anna Witten Hall, that is impervious. That is there specifically so you have both a hard surface to walk or bicycle or skateboard or scooter ride on, or roller skate, inline skate, wheelchair. So you have both a hard surface, but also it's permeable, so the water can filter into the ground and then into the groundwater. So that's what impervious cover is. The residential buildings planned will align with the existing single family and duplex uses on Wall Street. The parcels being rezoned previously were used for residential. One building was torn down in 2012 and the other structure is in poor condition. Community engagement. Notice of the public hearing was published in the Kalamazoo Gazette. A notice letter, as if anyone has the paper copy of the Gazette anymore. A notice letter was mailed to all property owners and occupants within 300 feet of the 3 parcels on May 19, 2021 with information about this public hearing. That's standard procedure for rezoning requests. Sometimes I get the work of the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Commission, mixed up. But for one of them, it is standard procedure that everyone within 300 feet, every property owner within 300 feet is sent a letter about the public hearing so they can show up and, well, they can't even show up anymore because of the virtual meetings, but participate in the virtual meetings. Engagement activities. The Kalamazoo Neighborhood Housing Services has reached out to neighborhood residents, building blocks, and the Vine Neighborhood Association regarding the infill housing development plan. This outreach has been ongoing since last year. KNHS has revised the development plan to save a large bur oak tree and address other suggestions by residents for the development of these parcels. Fiscal impact. This rezoning will not have a fiscal impact on the city, while it would have a positive impact. Let me move the camera here a little bit so you can see the traffic a little better. A Volkswagen Beetle just went by. A little better. Okay. Well, I mean, if they rebuild the houses are going to be worth more, and that's going to be more property taxes for the city. So the rezoning will not have a fiscal impact on the city. Well, not directly, but indirectly in time. When you increase the property values, it has a positive fiscal impact on the city. So that statement is misleading. And then there's the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting on June 3. So that's a much smaller rezoning. And I'm not, I walked Wall Street today. Well, I walked one block of Wall Street. I'm not exactly sure which properties they're talking about, but and here's a survey in the southwest corner of Section 22, Township 2 South, Range 11 West of the City of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, Michigan. Yeah, this is it's a section of Wall Street between South Park and South Rose. So it's the west section of Wall Street. Survey was conducted by Reitman Associates, Gary Hahn surveyor. And then there's another survey here. And there's an overhead map. (203, 207, and 211 on Wall Street. This map, it looks like it's just one property. Well, if it's just as one house, then yeah, it's that dilapidated house on the end of Wall Street at Rose. So if you go on Park Street onto Wall, then you walk towards Rose Street, it's that dilapidated house on the south side of the street before Rose. That's what this seems to show it is. No one's going to miss that house. What's water damaged? Shows up here as 3 parcels. Oh. If you're walking by, you would think it was just 1 parcel, but it's apparently 3 with a dilapidated house on it. Go back to the consent agenda. Number 9. First reading of an ordinance to establish First Baptist Church at 315 West Michigan Avenue as a single resource local historic district and schedule a public hearing for July 6, 2021. It seems like old news too. Number 10, adoption of a resolution approving 5 new neighborhood enterprise zone homestead applications in the Vine neighborhood. So that You get one of those for your house. It helps you to renovate your house in a historic district, and then you get like 75% off your property taxes for the following 10 years. So we'll look at that agenda report. Background. September 29, 2008, the Kalamazoo City Commission created 2 neighborhood enterprise zones, 1 Homestead NEZ in the Vine neighborhood and 1 new construction NEZ in the Edison neighborhood. The Vine NEZs are for new owner occupants of existing homes, and the Edison NEZs are for owners occupants of new homes. The purpose of the NEZ program is to provide tax incentives for citizens to own and occupy homes in the designated neighborhoods, and it requires a financial investment by the owner toward improving the property. Successful NEZ applicants receive a reduction in their city and county operating taxes of 50%. Within each zone, homeowners or builders are required to apply for a certificate for each property in order to obtain the tax benefits. All the applications received by the city must be approved by the City Commission. The approval takes effect in the following tax year. For example, the applications that are received and approved for this year, 2020, don't know about that, will take effect on tax bills issued in 2021. Some of these reports might be kind of old. We'll have to see if, I don't know, for anyone to comment. We'll see if anyone even comments on that in the City Commission meeting. Occasionally they'll point out seemingly glaring errors like that. Applicants that receive approval can participate in the program for up to 10 years. Okay, so you get one of these things, one of these new enterprise zones, and you get 50% off your property taxes for 10 years. City Clerk has received 5 applications for new Homestead NEZ certificates in the Vine neighborhood, and 1 application to transfer a previously approved certificate to a new owner in Vine. The 5 new NEZ applications should have been included with the December 2020 NEZ memo to the City Commission, but were missed. Yeah, that's why I said these seem kind of old news. These applications are being brought forward now to allow the property tax reductions to be implemented. So if you have one of these, both your name and your address will go into the public record. Number 1, 922 Minor Avenue, Ashley Barnum. Number 2, 711 Locust Street, Morris Paul Lippiness, Lippiness, Morris Paul Lippiness, and Courtney Ann Sluchter, Slucter. Number 3, 528 Village Street, Emily Petz, Petz. 4, 524 Wheaton Avenue, Joseph B. and Hannah M. Sue, Tsui. And number 5, 726 McCourty Street, Kent Grosh, Grosh, Grosh. Each of these individuals have purchased their respective homes in the Vine neighborhood and used them as their principal residence. As is required under the program, they have each agreed to spend at least $500 on improvements to their home within the next 3 years if the NEZ request is approved. If approved, the certificates for all 10 properties would expire on December 30, 2030. You only have to spend $500 on improvements to get 50% off your property taxes for 10 years. That seems like a pretty good deal. I thought it was $5,000. Maybe there's another typo in there. Participating neighborhoods have benefited from the NEZ program in having nearly 100 of the homes become owner-occupied. It enhanced stability in the neighborhoods. Community engagement. The community has been made aware of the approved NEZs. Wow. I'm just going to read it what it says. The community has been made aware of the approved NEZs since 2008 when these were approved by the City Commission. You had a problem with the word approve. It should be approved. Engagement/communication tools. Information on the NEZs and the application process is available on the city website. Fiscal impact. For new homestead NEZ certificates, the certificate is in effect for 10 years and represents a reduction of 50% of the city and county operating taxes for the home. Assuming static housing values and the city millage rate, the city would forgo these amounts for the next 10 years if the NEZ certificates are approved. Apparently, you still got to continue paying your taxes as normal to the public schools and KVCC and the public library and Central County Transit Authority, et cetera, et cetera. The total tax reduction for all 5 properties for the city's portion would be $931.89. The total tax reduction to the city and county would be total tax reduction for all 5 properties. The total tax reduction to the city and county would be $1,410.86 per year. The benefit of the program is increasing home ownership in the neighborhoods. Homeowners tend to invest in improvements and maintain their homes more than renters. Renter hate. This has a positive impact on the neighborhood. So if 5 people invest $500 in their home, that's $2,500 in investments, and the city is spending $931 or giving up $931.89 to receive that benefit. Okay. Oh boy, we get to see people's the certificates that they submitted. Ashley Barnum at 922 Minor Avenue. We get to see her telephone number and her email address. Documents. I guess documents showing that she's a legal owner of that property. Documents. Okay, and here's Morris Lippens and Courtney at 711 Locust. Their telephone number, their email address, the improvements they plan to do, wood storm doors and fence. Documents that show that they are the legal owners of the property and stuff. Emily Petts, her telephone number, her email address. Everyone's got a Gmail address here. All 3 of them so far. Okay, that's good enough. We'll go back to the consent agenda. That was number 10. Number 11, approval of a memorandum of agreement with Kalamazoo Public Schools for the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety to provide school resource officer services for the 2021-2022 school year. Well, I recall this being an issue in the past about having police officers in schools. I recall when we had in-person meetings, people complaining about this, that it was part of the schools, the prisons pipeline, or whatever they called it. And they were against police officers being placed in the schools, and I don't really remember how that went. but since the commission is not really letting the public participate in the meetings, I guess KPS, Kalamazoo Public Schools, will get a KDPS officer, and that's probably for one of the high schools. Here's the agenda report.
So, do you like standing cold water, or do you like swimming?
I'm sure I answered the question.
Background: for over a decade, KDPS has had a partnership with KPS to provide public safety services at Loy Norrix High School through the School Resource Officer (SRO). The focus of the SRO is prevention, education, and problem solving via community-based relationships. The role of the SRO at Loy Norrix is to investigate criminal activity, enforce state statutes, city ordinances, and make proper referrals within the juvenile system, mentor students and help reduce juvenile delinquency, monitor crime statistics, and share information with school administrators to design crime prevention strategies, help campus safety officers and school administrators with emergency crisis planning and building security issues, assist teachers and staff with classroom presentations as needed, maintain visibility, and attend school functions as necessary. Be a positive role model for the students and endorse the profession of law enforcement officers. Fiscal impact. Under the proposed agreement, KPS will reimburse the City of Kalamazoo $71,000 for the 2020-2021 school year. These numbers are off again. Yeah, so at the beginning, it has it right, 2021, 2022, 2021, 2022. Some of these reports, they have them from previous years and they just use them again. But here under fiscal impact, they forgot to change the years. It says, under the proposed agreement, KPS will reimburse the City of Kalamazoo $71,000 for the 2020-2021 school year, which has already ended this month, or might officially end at the end of this month, but it's over. The salary benefit package for the officer filling this position is equivalent to the funding provided by KPS for the school year. The remaining funding is accounted for in the Public Safety General Fund budget. And then there's a memorandum of agreement between Loy Norrix High School and Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety for School Resource Officer. Loy Norrix High School staff acknowledge that the school resource officer is a sworn peace officer charged with enforcing all local and state laws. The SRO will use their discretion as to the proper application of the responsibility for law enforcement in the school environment. The SRO will be available to assist school staff in addressing non-compliant or unruly students as needed. Whenever practical, school staff should attempt to resolve the situation first. If further assistance is required, campus safety should be called to help resolve the situation. If campus safety has difficulty resolving the situation, a school administrator shall be called to the scene of the incident. If further assistance is needed, the SRO can intervene upon the request of the school administrator or at the discretion of the SRO. This does not preclude the SRO from taking immediate action as necessary to ensure the safety of the school students and staff. Every attempt should be made for the school staff to resolve any student behavior issues and/or school rule violations prior to the intervention of the SRO. The SRO should not be considered the school's disciplinarian. If the school administration and/or school staff believe that an incident constitutes a violation of law, they shall contact the SRO, who will determine whether law enforcement action is appropriate. SROs will generally work 42 hours a week on a 5-day schedule. The SRO is an employee of KDPS. KDPS is responsible for the hiring, training, discipline, and dismissal of its personnel. The school principal shall have input in the SRO evaluation process. Public safety may pull the SRO at any time to assist with any emergency or public safety matter. KDPS will invoice Lloyd Norris High School in January and June in the amount of $35,500 for services rendered. This is kind of interesting. Liaison. Communication and details concerning this agreement shall be directed to the following agreement representatives. It has Chief Coakley's name, but Ryan Tibbetts' email address. A deputy chief or something. So I would consider that to be an error. Why would they list Chief Coakley as the contact, but then Ryan Tibbetts as the email address? So we'll, and this is dated, this was signed by the school superintendent on March 18th. And then there is a memorandum of understanding between the Kalamazoo Public Schools, the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, and the Township of Kalamazoo Police for School Resource Officer. The SROs provided to the district will continue to take part in anti-bias, anti-racism, or similar training established to increase their cultural awareness, as this has a direct impact on their actions, understanding, and decisions when dealing with students, staff, and parents. And mandatory notification of police. The police shall be notified of all of the following types of incidents: all deaths, physical assault with serious injury, sexual assault, robbery, stalking, domestic violence, possessing a weapon, including possessing a firearm, using a weapon to cause or threaten bodily harm to another person, trafficking in weapons, illegal drugs and or human trafficking, possessing an illegal drug, hate and or bias motivated occurrences, extortion, non-consensual sharing of intimate images, terrorist threats, threats of serious physical injury, including threats made on social networking sites or through instant messaging, text messaging, email, etc. And then there's discretionary notification of police. Principals should use their discretion to consider notifying police of the following types of incidents: incidents involving alcohol, reactions to being under the influence of alcohol or illegal drugs, physical assault / fighting, incidents of bullying, incidents of vandalism, trespassing incidents. And then consent agenda item G12. Approval of a request from the Kalamazoo Country Club for a permit to publicly display fireworks at 1609 Whites Road on Sunday, July 4th, with a rain date of July 5th and Friday, July 9th. So you heard it. If you want a free fireworks display from the D&W parking lot or something, Sunday, July 4th and Friday, July 9th. Number 13. Approval and acceptance of an easement with the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy for parcel number 16 or 0632379003, owned by the City of Kalamazoo in conjunction with the Sun Valley Reconstruction Project. Number 14, approval of the sale of 738 Harrison Street to Kalamazoo Neighborhood Housing Services for the price of $500. Number 15, approval of the appointment of Dr. James Mullish, Melluish, Melluish, to the Environmental Concerns Committee for a term expiring on January 1, 2024. Now, most boards, either a public board or a private board, at the beginning of their meeting, after they do the roll call and set the agenda, they will approve the minutes from the last meeting. But that's not the way the Kalamazoo City Commission does it. It's a consent approval of the minutes of past meetings are on the consent agenda, and they will approve a whole bunch of them all at once. And this is a whole bunch of them. Number 16, approval of the minutes from the City Commission meetings on August 17, September 8, September 21, October 5, October 26, November 2, November 16, December 7, December 14, and December 21, 2020, and January 4, January 19, February 1, and March 13, 2021. So it's June, mid-June, and we're approving minutes from almost a year ago. And the most recent approved minutes are from March, 3 months ago. Number 17, adoption of a resolution approving the sale of 510 Phelps Avenue to Shira Berry for $1,000. Sherah. Shira. She probably pronounces it different. Postponed until July 6, 2021. It's standard practice that when they have a property sale, that it appears on the agenda like a first reading, and then they have final approval at the next meeting 2 or 3 weeks later. That's what happened with 738 Harrison Street. That was like that last time. So that's all 17 items on the consent agenda. Currently, there's nothing on the regular agenda, although maybe someone wants to move that school resource officer to the regular agenda. If anyone in the public wanted to move that to the regular agenda, they would just call the public comment line prior to the meeting. The public comment number, I believe, is 269-226-6573. You want to call that at about 6:30 to 7 p.m. on Monday, and just state your name, whether you live within the city, and say, please move consent agenda item 11 to the regular agenda. And then it will be moved to the regular agenda, and then you can leave a comment if you want. Otherwise, the commission will be compelled to vote on that item separately and maybe even discuss it. In the city manager's report, so I guess the most interesting thing items on the consent agenda are the Lacrone splash pad, the rezoning of all those properties east of the former Heritage Guitar, Gibson's, school resource officer. That's it for the agenda. So the meeting could go by quick. All they do is have the city manager reading the consent agenda, or it could go longer if a lot of people call in, or if they get into a discussion about the school resource officer. reading for about an hour like that gets a bit tiring. Well, let's see if there's anything interesting in the news. That's what the Kalamazoo Mall needs, is a coin-operated riding bull. That would bring the people down here. I don't know about the status of the Wild Bull Bar. Are they open? I don't know. I don't really know the status of the bars anymore because I'm not down here late enough. Senator says Michigan got Juneteenth history wrong in 2005 law, proposes fix. Bill would correct details of the law in order to give an accurate history of Juneteenth, which recognizes the effective end of slavery in the United States. Senator wonder if it's Sylvia. S-Y-L, yeah, Sylvia. Santana, Democrat, Detroit, has introduced legislation to change the language within Public Act 48 of 2005, which commemorates June 19 or Juneteenth as National Freedom Day in Michigan. Santana said the bill would correct details of the law in order to give an accurate history of Juneteenth, which recognizes the effective end of slavery in the United States. Juneteenth, the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the end of slavery in the U.S., is often attributed to the ratification of the 13th Amendment. Public Act 48 of 2005, signed into law by then Governor Jennifer Granholm, also reinforces this history. The legislation further observes that Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution on January 31, 1865, abolishing slavery throughout the United States and its territories. However, that's not historically accurate, Santana argues, as Juneteenth is a celebration of when Union soldiers, led by Major General Gordon Granger, landed at Galveston, Texas in June 1865, with the news that the Civil War had ended and that the enslaved were now free. Granger landed in Texas almost 3 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
I have 2 bucks.
Even though the Emancipation Proclamation was issued by President Abraham Lincoln in 1863, there was no way to enforce it in places still under Confederate control. The executive order had little effect on slaves in the western U.S., as Union troops stationed in Texas weren't able to enforce the lawful freedom of those enslaved until Granger came to Galveston with the news that the Emancipation Proclamation had taken effect. Senate Democrats want to change the language within the Michigan law to accurately reflect that. America's history is messy, but we can and must ensure we accurately reflect what occurred so our children can learn where we came from and how much further we have yet to go, Santana said in a statement. We should not gloss over details on the fact that the Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Lincoln was the catalyst for this celebration of freedom, she said. Correcting the history within Michigan's Juneteenth law will, with accurate information, supports an ongoing effort to expand racial justice and equity in Michigan and further promotes the commemoration of when all slaves had access to the news that they were emancipated from slavery, Santana said. The bill is simply designed to correct the misinformation discovered in the existing law, Santana said. I look forward to my colleagues' support of the truth. Santana engaged Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey on Thursday regarding the bill, according to Nick Cook, Santana's chief of staff. Cook said he's spoken to members of Shirkey's staff about the bill. They said they'll take a look at it, so we're hoping he's open to it, Cook said. Senate Bill 554 has been referred to the Senate Committee on Government Operations. The bill is sponsored by Senator Marshall Bullock, Democrat Detroit, Senator Billie Jean Alexander, Democrat Dearborn Heights, Senator Paul Wajno, Democrat Warren, Senator Dana Polanyi, Democrat Livonia, Senator Rosemary Bayer, Democrat Beverly Hills, and Senator Jeff Irwin, Democrat Ann Arbor. Portage's Ramona Park Beach closed June 21 for herbicide application on Long Lake. The beach will be closed one day. GOP election bills pass Senate. Mask mandate ends early. The week in Michigan politics. The week in Lansing brought bipartisan efforts toward improving child care and bitter debate over the use of federal unemployment funding and election reform. This week marks the final full week of many of the COVID-19 restrictions Governor Gretchen Whitmer has kept in place since March 2020. While the state isn't dropping all of its precautionary measures, most restrictions will phase out on Tuesday, June 22, 9 days ahead of the July 1 date Whitmer had targeted in May. This week in Lansing brought bipartisan efforts toward improving child care and bitter debate over the use of federal unemployment funding and election reform. Here's more on all the latest developments of the last several days in Michigan politics below. Whitmer signs order banning government-funded conversion therapy. Whitmer's executive order signed Monday that bars government-funded conversion therapy on minors is being heralded by LGBTQ+ rights advocates as a first step towards outlawing the practices in Michigan. The executive order prohibits the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services from using state or federal funds to for conversion therapy on minors. This includes funding related to Medicaid, Children's Health Insurance Program, Child Welfare Services, and juvenile justice programs. The order also requires all state departments and agencies to explore further actions to protect minors from the practice of conversion therapy as permitted by law. The governor said tax dollars should not go toward dangerous and discredited practices during a Monday press conference at the Ruth Ellis Center, a social service agency for LGBTQ youth. Whitmer also endorsed 2 bills seeking to prohibit mental health professionals from engaging minors in conversion therapy, described as any treatment that seeks to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. Conversion therapy is opposed by medical experts, is rooted in bigotry, and it can have long-term harmful effects, Whitmer said. Monday's event took place during Pride Month, which was formally recognized by the Michigan legislature for the first time this year. Medical professionals and advocates said conversion therapy practices, which use controversial techniques to attempt to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity, can lower self-esteem and bring feelings of isolation and an increased risk of suicidal behavior. Pride is about action, and today we are taking action to bend the arc of history toward justice and equality for all, Whitmer said. Michigan lawmakers okay spending plan for billions in COVID-19 aid. Okay, and then the part we want to read about, Michigan ends most COVID-19 restrictions earlier than expected. Michigan is ending its 50% indoor capacity limit and mask mandate for the unvaccinated earlier than originally announced, Governor Gretchen Whitmer announced Thursday. Originally scheduled to end July 1, diminishing COVID-19 numbers led Whitmer to end restrictions early. New cases have dropped to about 200 per day, with less than 2% of tests coming back positive. Restrictions go away starting at midnight on Tuesday, June 22nd. I guess that means the beginning of the day rather than the end of the day. In other words, Monday night. Measures have existed in some form since March 2020. Today is a day that we have all been looking forward to as we can safely get back to normal day-to-day activities and put this pandemic behind us, Whitmer said in the release. Businesses still have the right to require masks if they choose. Michigan is one of 13 states to require masks for unvaccinated people indoors. Michigan is also one of 5 states to still have business restrictions. New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, and Hawaii are the others, all of which are tying reopenings to vaccination rates. That was Whitmer's original plan, but the idea was later scrapped. To lift restrictions under Whitmer's Back to Normal plan, the state would have to reach 70% of residents ages 16 and older. Michigan is currently at 60.8% of its population ages 16 and older vaccinated, as nearly 5 million Michiganders have received their first vaccine shot, state data shows. Senate Republicans move forward with controversial election bills. Senate Republicans approved 3 bills Wednesday that would change some of the state's election laws, putting an emphasis on ID requirements for in-person voters. From fueling conspiracy theories to supporting voter suppression, accusations of malevolent intent from Democrats didn't stop the controversial election bills from being passed in mid-Senate along party lines Wednesday amid contentious debate over the purpose of the legislation. Much of the pushback focused on one portion of the package that would expand ID requirements and add steps to the absentee ballot process. Despite tweaks to the bills, Democratic officials and activists for weeks have accused Republican lawmakers across the country of being inspired by former President Donald Trump's unfounded claims of voter fraud. Speaking in opposition to the bills on the Senate floor Wednesday, Senator Jeremy Moss, Democrat Southfield, said that legislation feeds the same lies that fueled the January 6th insurrection. Moss and other Democrats on Wednesday said the bills are an effort to appease the demands of Republican voters who believed election-related conspiracy theories fueled by the former president and his allies. I can tell you who did ask for this. People who were deceived, people who were lied to by the former president about the integrity of our election, Moss said. That lie was amplified by 11 members of this chamber who sent an appeal to Congress on January 5 not to count our votes. Republican senators spoke in favor of the three bills say their effort to pass new voting legislation is simply to ensure the security of election. Senator Ed McBroom, Republican Vulcan, argued Wednesday that the debate surrounding the issue should happen without creating pejoratives or finger-pointing. We just continue to harp on this idea that, oh, you guys are sore losers. Okay, both parties are very guilty of being sore losers, McBroom said. Governor Gretchen Whitmer has said that voting bills introduced in the Michigan Senate won't make it past her desk. The $300 federal unemployment bonus going to residents who lost work during the COVID-19 pandemic would be eliminated under a bill passed Thursday by the Michigan House. Republicans insist the measure would help small businesses bolster hiring amid a crippling labor shortage. Okay. That link in that article took me to an article dated June 1st. That's not what I want. Go back to the original article. Okay, here's the one we want. This article is dated June 16th, 3 days ago. Whitmer looks to remove COVID-19 restrictions in the coming days. Michigan's COVID-19 health order could end sooner than expected, as Governor Gretchen Whitmer has hinted at an announcement soon due to declining coronavirus rates and increasing vaccination numbers. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services order expires July 1, but the state could choose to end it early. Remaining restrictions include a 50% capacity limit at most indoor public spaces and a mask mandate indoors for unvaccinated people, among other precautions. Thanks to this rollout and to all the Michiganders who've gotten their shot, we're looking forward at the next rollback in the coming days, Whitmer said during an appearance in Grand Rapids on Wednesday, June 16th. It's scheduled for July 1, but I think you should stay tuned. Business leaders told MLive they expected an announcement Thursday or Friday. Michigan is one of the last states to still have restrictions in place, according to data tracked by the New York Times. New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, and Hawaii also have some restrictions still in place. 13 states, including Michigan, are still requiring unvaccinated people to wear masks inside public places, most of which are in the Northeast or on the Pacific Coast. COVID-19 cases have dropped dramatically in Michigan in the past 2 months. It led the nation in cases per day April 15th with 79 per 100,000 people, but now ranks 31st in the U.S. with 3 new cases per day per 100,000 people. Michigan ranks 27th in the country in vaccination rate, with 61% of residents 18 or older getting at least one shot. Whitmer may have been holding off on changes to see if the Memorial Day holiday would cause a spike in numbers, said Dr. Frank Rosenblatt, Oakland County infectious disease specialist with McLaren Healthcare. But the trend line of plummeting numbers has stayed the same. So whatever happened on or didn't happen after Memorial Day, I just wonder if that's leading to these decisions that we might be able to get out of this earlier than we thought, Rosenblatt said. Because we had our stress test on Memorial Day and we seem to have passed it so far. The 50% capacity restriction has been frustrating for businesses, especially those near state lines, said Michigan Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Rich Studley. We're the only state in the country that still has this level of COVID-19 restrictions, Studley said. It's unnecessary. While restaurants, among other places, will be allowed to double their capacity, that's not feasible for many places struggling to find workers. We're still going to have the challenges with employees, but they'll adjust for that, said Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan. We do need to get back as soon as we can to full capacity. Getting to 100% will be particularly helpful for the events industry, Lorenz said. Many larger events like conventions, business meetings, and weddings aren't feasible at half capacity, he said. Michigan has had some form of COVID-19 health restrictions in place since mid-March 2020. There will still be some COVID-19 rules in place even after the MDHHS rules are gone. However, the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration has pandemic workplace safety rules in place through October. MIOSHA could choose to end such restrictions earlier. $1.2 million grant aims to help Southwest Michigan through aftermath of nuclear power plant closure. That's covert.
Mark employees and contractors to any money.
Spectrum Health Beaumont Health merger will likely sail through approval, professor says. The regulatory sign-off for the proposed mega merger could be completed by the fall. The Rapid plans additional routes, looks to hire a dozen drivers at 2 upcoming job fairs. That's the bus service in Grand Rapids. Kalamazoo Public Safety hosts 3-on-3 basketball tournament in Northside neighborhood. The 3-on-3 basketball tournament is Saturday, January 26th at LaCrone Park, and there is also a job fair through Michigan Works Southwest that afternoon. That's next Saturday, a week from today.
What was it, 12?
24% of Michiganders have acquired natural immunity to COVID. Why doctors say vaccination is better. There are multiple reasons that vaccination is a better strategy to protect yourself against COVID, but that's a subscriber exclusive story. Or subscriber exclusive. GOP activists ask God, demand lawmakers deliver Arizona-style audit of Michigan's 2020 election. No. Kalamazoo area officials easing out of virtual meetings amid citizen complaints. The transition to virtual meetings wasn't a smooth one in Kalamazoo. Now local governments are transitioning back to in-person meetings. This is from 2 days ago. But the agenda packet that we looked at earlier says electronic meeting. So. City Commission business meeting, June 21, 2021, 7 p.m. Packet. Monday, June 21, 2021, 7 p.m. electronic meeting. So nothing changed for this week, maybe for July. I mean, this meeting is will begin 5 hours before the all indoor capacity limits are lifted now. Maybe they're getting tired of hearing me every week. Anyway, this Monday is another virtual meeting. Maybe they'll have it in person. The next one in July. I can't read this article because it's a subscriber exclusive. They got a screenshot of the city of Kalamazoo there. I'll read that again because I probably had something to do with this one. Kalamazoo area officials easing out of virtual meetings amid citizen complaints. The transition to virtual meetings wasn't a smooth one in Kalamazoo. Now local governments are transitioning back to in-person meetings. Well, if we had music on the mall today, if they hadn't chickened out due to some dark clouds around 1 o'clock, you would have heard music on the mall for the past hour and a half. Oops. Something weird. My computer. It tells me, I mean, I'm connected obviously, but it tells me that I'm not connected. And that started today. I don't know what is up with that. Hey, Poochie. See, that's the way you walk your dog. Let's look at these Tim Skubic headlines. Skubic, Michigan special interest groups react to removal of COVID-19 restrictions. I'll read that one. Skubic, federal COVID relief dollars set to be approved for Michigan schools. Michigan Dems call for investigation into Michigan's role in January 6th insurrection. How could former President Trump influence Michigan's governor race? Anti-elder abuse task force releases recommendation on how to combat abuse. Will Candace Miller run as Craig's lieutenant governor? Okay, Michigan special interest groups react to removal of COVID-19 restrictions. This is dated Thursday. 10 days ahead of schedule, Governor Gretchen Whitmer has decided to eliminate all of the state's remaining COVID restrictions not on July 1 but June 22. Reactions are pouring in from all over the state. COVID problem is not over in Michigan, but the governor's safety protocols are over, and bar owners and other businesses are pleased. We're back and we're ready to go, said Scott Ellis of the Michigan Licensed Beverage Association. The governor is lifting all restrictions based on ever-improving COVID data. Instead of 7,000 cases a day, the number has dwindled into the hundreds. Instead of hundreds of deaths per day, the numbers declined for 8 weeks into, it says digit single figures. Even Tim Skubic can't get his words right. The governor did not reach her goal of 70% of the population being vaccinated, but enough citizens did get the shots, which helped to propel the COVID data on its downward trend. So now what? For bar and restaurant owners, it will not be an overnight recovery by any means. It's a long road back, and we're not going to snap back. It's going to take a while. It's supposed to be to recoup, but he wrote TP. It's going to take a while. TP recoup a year's worth of losses and get back into the swing and get going, said Ellis. While Michigan businesses may be pleased with the governor's decision, and then it's a new paragraph, but it's the same sentence. Tori Sachs, the head of Michigan's Freedom Fund, funded by major GOP donors, dismisses the governor's move as too little too late. And there's no period there. This is absolutely too little too late, and it's still too late. It's not happening today. There's no reason why the restrictions can't be lifted now, and there's no apostrophe in the word can't. This whole thing has been political. The governor counters that her decisions were based on science. Progress Michigan, funded by Democrats, could not appear on camera but stated, "We're grateful for Governor Whitmer's efforts throughout the crisis and are ready to help our state recover even stronger than before. Circle June 22 on your calendar. COVID restrictions are gone, and the governor hopes for good." Look at WKZO. Golfer trapped after trees falls on golf cart in Battle Creek. Kalamazoo area events for Juneteenth as it becomes an official federal holiday. I can tell you the one in Upjohn Park did not happen because I was there. Kalamazoo River sediment buildup is now big enough to be seen from space. Well, from satellite photos. I don't think the people in the International Space Station can see it with their naked eyes. Deadline to apply for open Kalamazoo County District 2 Commissioner seat is this Friday. County Board Chair Hall warns residents of sophisticated jury phone scam. Portage Summer Concert Series starts Thursday with Shania Twain and Garth Brooks tribute band. Kalamazoo area events for Juneteenth as it becomes an official federal holiday. President Joe Biden signed a bill Wednesday making Juneteenth a national holiday. It's a date that is already celebrated on June 19 in Kalamazoo. There are a lot of events happening in Kalamazoo County, so I would encourage people to look some of those things up and go out and enjoy the events. Kalamazoo County Board Vice Chair Tammy Ray. Friday, Governor Whitmer followed Biden's lead, issuing a proclamation declaring June 19th as Juneteenth Celebration Day in Michigan. Long quote from the governor, which I won't read. June 19th, 1865 was the date slaves in Texas learned about the Emancipation Proclamation 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed it, which set them free. The new holiday will be called Juneteenth National Independence Day and becomes the 12th legal public holiday. I believe that is wrong. I believe it's the 11th. Up until this, there were 10 federal holidays: Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, MLK Day, Veterans Day, Columbus Day, and Washington's birthday. Those are the 12 federal holidays, or the 10 federal holidays, and Juneteenth is the 11th. I don't know where this article came up with the 12th. There will be a couple of virtual events. We don't care about virtual events. They're not events. Here are some of the events for Saturday, June 19th in Kalamazoo County. A solidarity march is planned at Celery Flats and Portage with opening remarks at 9 a.m. at the Green Elevator. A celebration of Black Fathers sponsored by the Mers Tate Explorers at the Arcadia Creek Festival site from noon to 6 p.m. with an art auction. Branford Marsalis will be performing with the Kalamazoo Symphony Orchestra at the Gilmore Carr Museum in an open-air concert at 8 p.m. A celebration called Statewide Kickoff will be celebrated locally by several organizations at 804 West North Street at 6 p.m., which is right now. Kalamazoo River sediment buildup is big enough now to be seen from space. The buildup of sludge and sediment in the Kalamazoo River has become so widespread that it can actually be seen from space. Updated Google Earth images faintly show the massive deposits along the river in Comstock Township, downtown Kalamazoo, and Parchment. Eagle Creek Renewable Energy, the company that owns the Morrow Lake Dam and is responsible for the mess, which has devastated the ecosystem, wildlife, and recreation on parts of the river, is supposedly going to get moving faster on cleanup. The company says it will accelerate dredging efforts in the Kalamazoo River with 2 projects. One is just downstream from the dam in Comstock Township, and the other near, here's what it says, the Kings Highway Bridge in Kalamazoo. It is King Highway. King Highway. It is not plural. King Highway. The company also will be mapping 30 miles of river between Parchment and Lake Allegan to log additional deposits.
Nice outside. I got the doggy. I got it.
To date, Eagle Creek has removed about 2,000 cubic yards of an estimated 369,000 cubic yards that were allowed to be released downstream. It happened in late 2019 when the dam spillway gates were lowered for a repair project. Yeah, anything can be seen from space if you zoom in enough. Deadline to apply for open Kalamazoo County District 2 Commissioner seat is this Friday. Friday is a deadline to apply for an opening on the Kalamazoo County Commission representing District 2. Normally, it would take an election to pick commissioners, but when there is a resignation, state law permits the county board to pick a replacement for the remainder of the term. District 2 Commissioner Zach Bauer signed off at this week's board meeting. He is becoming the new executive director of the Local Initiative Support Corporation, LISC, which would conflict with his county duties. He says he is proud of the work they have done, such as pulling the county through the pandemic. Don't lose sight of that, Bauer said during his final comments. I think Kalamazoo County did really well in comparison to other counties around us and to the state as a whole. Administrator Tracy Mored says to qualify, applicants must live in District 2. At this time, Mored says that only 2 applications have been received. The board is planning to hold interviews later this month or early next month, depending on how many apply. To apply, residents can send an email to dpsut@calcounty.com or return an application to the Kalamazoo County Administrative Services Office. More information is listed below. Bauer's term runs through next year. Okay, let's look at the map for Kalamazoo County Commission District 2. Go to allcounty.com/clerk. Elections and voting. Kalamazoo County Commission district maps. And then under each photograph of each commissioner, you click the map link. District 2 is kind of like the southwest portion of the city. It includes the Millwood neighborhood, well, it also includes some of Kalamazoo Township, a little bit of Kalamazoo Township. So it's the Millwood neighborhood and the southern half of the Edison neighborhood, and then Westnedge Hill. So it's the Millwood neighborhood, and then it goes north to the south half of the Edison neighborhood, and also includes the Eastwood or the Lakewood neighborhood in Kalamazoo Township.
Because they don't know how to market it well enough, and also they can only. Well, what had happened was that
And then from Millwood and Edison, it goes west into the Westnedge Hill neighborhood. And then it goes north into the west part of the Vine neighborhood. Kind of okay, except the part that goes west. That makes it look like a gerrymandered district. Although it seems like the people who represent District 2 usually do come from the Vine neighborhood. County Board Chair Hall warns residents of sophisticated jury phone scam. The phone scam that has been around for a couple of years is now apparently victimizing residents in the Kalamazoo area. County Board Chair Tracy Hall says sophisticated scam artists are calling people and telling them if they don't pay a fine immediately, they will be arrested for missing jury duty. For some reason, the word jury duty is capitalized. During a virtual meeting Tuesday night, Hall reminded residents that courts don't function this way. County jury services will never contact you by phone, requiring you to pay a fine for failing to appear for jury service, Hall said. She says it is personal for her as it happened to two friends who were taken for a lot of money. If you receive such a call or a call asking you to meet a deputy to pay a fine, you should contact your local law enforcement or contact jury services, Hall said. She says a con artist will use the names of local law authorities and have a police scanner in the background to make the call seem more authentic. The scam first surfaced 2 years ago following news reports that some counties were cracking down on citizens who dodged jury duty. There's a WWJ story. Governor Whitmer, Michigan COVID-19 restrictions to completely lift on June 22nd. Governor's face is looking shiny there. Like she's a little sweaty or something. This story is dated June 17th, 1:57 p.m. Governor Gretchen Whitmer has announced that COVID-19 restrictions will be lifted earlier than expected. Starting next Tuesday, June 22, capacity in both indoor and outdoor settings will increase to 100%, and Michigan will no longer require residents to wear a face mask. The original plan was to lift those restrictions more than a week later on July 1. In a statement, Whitmer voiced her gratitude for medical experts, health professionals, and the essential workers who kept the state safe and moving during the pandemic. Today is the day we have all been looking forward to as we can safely get back to normal day-to-day activities and put this pandemic behind us, Whitmer said. We owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the medical experts and health professionals who stood on the front lines to keep us all safe. Some orders will remain in place for the time being to protect vulnerable populations in corrections, long-term care, and agriculture. Public health measures will also continue for reporting requirements and COVID testing to make sure areas where community spread is high are identified, kids are safe in school, and free COVID tests are available for residents everywhere. See the full press release from Governor Whitmer's office below. Governor Whitmer announced the state will open to full capacity on June 22.
Can we do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guard. In addition to the gatherings and mask order, additional orders are being rescinded as of June 22. These include temporary restrictions for entry into congregate care and juvenile justice facilities, mandatory testing for Michigan Department of Health and Human Services juvenile justice facility staff, mandatory testing for Michigan Department of Health and Human Services hospitals and center staff, exceptions to temporary restrictions on entry into certain facilities, handling of bodily remains, Okay, let's look at channel 3. General alert. Kalamazoo celebrates Juneteenth. Oh boy. A general alert. Michigan House approves bills to broaden organ donation. Kalamazoo to develop new website to address city speeding complaints. After 40 years on Bank Street, popular Kalamazoo flea market moves to Vicksburg. Experts urge vaccination as highly contagious COVID-19 Delta variant found in Michigan. Severe drought impacts West Michigan water usage. Michigan House approves bills to broaden organ donation. Legislation that would lift barriers on organ donation has passed the Michigan House. People with a disability or who test positive for HIV would have added protection under state law in the organ transplant process if the bills clear the state Senate and the governor's desk. One bill reiterates the protections under the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act by outlawing the denial of a transplant or lowering people's place on an organ waiting list because of their disability. The other bill would allow patients with HIV to donate their organs to HIV-positive recipients. That article was brief. This article titled WMU Students Honor History Hold Juneteenth Solidarity March says Smith said Juneteenth hadn't been widely celebrated until recently. In fact, this year was WMU's first set of organized Juneteenth events. I don't know. First place I ever heard about Juneteenth was at Western. They had an annual event at the Dalton Center. It may not have been organized by Western itself, but maybe an outside organizer was renting the space or something. But there have been Juneteenth events at Western for quite a while. Kalamazoo County health officials, residents react to Michigan fully reopening. Rutherford said 61% of Kalamazoo County residents 12 and older had received at least one dose of the vaccine. There is no excuse to not get vaccinated, said Rutherford. You can get it at any pharmacy. You can get it at the health department. You can get it at your primary care doctor. You can get it at pop-up clinics just about anywhere. Well, the reason to not get vaccinated is if you're concerned about the long-term effects of an experimental medication. Tyree Broadway, who played his saxophone Thursday in downtown Kalamazoo, said he enjoyed performing music because it made people smile while maintaining social distance. We don't hear him today. He's been very visible. Hearing about the lifting of the restrictions, however, wasn't exactly music to his ears. I think you should care about your neighbors and your elderly people, and I think maybe it's a little bit too soon to raise that mask mandate, Broadway said. Well, congratulations, downtown Kalamazoo's saxophone player, Tyree Broadway, Tyree Broadway, on possibly your first media reference. Kalamazoo to develop new website to address city's speeding complaints. The Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety said it is collaborating with the city's traffic engineering division to develop a website that will allow residents to submit speeding complaints online. This comes as law enforcement agencies across the nation have reported an alarming rise in speeding, crashes, and related complaints since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. We know that speed is the number one issue in our community, Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety Chief Vernon Coakley said. People are driving in a behavior that is toxic to our community. So how do we deal with that? We inform, we educate, and as a last resort, we will enforce. Poochie's getting his picture taken. During the week of June 19 to 27, which would be beginning today, KDPS, along with more than 30 other agencies across Michigan, are cracking down on speeding drivers as part of a regional traffic safety campaign called Great Lakes High Stakes. Oakley said the department receives about 10 speeding complaints a month. Adding, this is two sentences. First sentence is, Coakley said the department receives about 10 speeding complaints a month. Second sentence, adding, comma, a large number of complaints have come from the north side of town. We're listening to all of our neighbors, Coakley said. We're listening to the community, business owners, issues that they have. Where they are calling, we're going to go. That lady was carrying a board game called Smart Ass. Now they are taking residents' concerns a step further by installing speed bumps in the areas listed below in 2021. All of these are streets on the north side. KDPS said it has implemented a traffic enforcement program and assigned a full-time traffic enforcement officer to address concerns. We're working closely with public services as they continue to listen to the community collaborate, Coakley said. We are listening where these situations are in our communities. There were 200 speed-related fatalities in Michigan in 2020, an 8% increase from 2019. KDPS said the average fine for a speeding violation is between $115 and $135. As of Thursday, June 17, 2021, the department had not yet released a date for when the new website will be completed. Severe drought impacts West Michigan water usage. On Thursday, June 17th, 2021, the U.S. Drought Monitor, which is droughtmonitor.unl.edu, University of Nebraska Lincoln, I guess, droughtmonitor.unl.edu, expanded the severe drought status to include most of West Michigan. The drought, in addition to warm air and gusty winds, created a greater risk for fires in the area, which led to more people increasing their water usage. Let's open up that drought monitor. Golf courses in the area are among the many West Michigan businesses feeling the impact of drought conditions. The superintendent at Ridgeview Golf Course, Dan Wagoner, said normally this time of year they use 1.5 to 2 million gallons a month. Said they were currently using twice as much water compared to last year. I think we're watering roughly 10 to 12 hours a day right now, Wagoner said. The last 32 days, I just checked out the pump, and we were at 5.5 million for 32 days, 5.5 million gallons. In addition to water, Wagoner said groundskeepers use fertilizer and a wetting agent to keep the courses green and moist. Because the summer is just getting started, Wagoner said it is possible the course's water bill could go up 20 to 30% over the season. Connie Reister, a Kalamazoo homeowner, said she also has her sprinkler working overtime to prevent her lawn from drying out. We do have a sprinkler system here, so we've been running it, I think, 4 days a week, like every other day, Reister said. Kalamazoo City officials said as of June 17th, the drought conditions have not impacted the water system and water wells are operating normally. Well, let's look at that drought monitor. University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Droughtmonitor.unl.edu. University of Nebraska-Lincoln. We're in the SL. Map released June 17th, so this doesn't include the rain we received today or yesterday. Droughtmonitor.unl.edu. I'm going to bookmark that. And then Control-Shift-O. Open up the bookmarks. Well, it says library in Mozilla Firefox.
No, you're breathing hard right now.
You know what's crazy? It's like 4 games of lacrosse I can't shut out. Or like a day I can't shut out.
We can click on states. Not only does it say map released Thursday, June 17th, so 2 days ago, it doesn't include our most recent rain. It says data valid June 15th. Yeah, we, as of this point, we were shown as being in the D2 or severe drought category, up from moderate drought and abnormally dry. D2, corn and soybean yields are low. Mature trees are stressed. Stream flow is extremely low, potentially too low to irrigate. Because this site is for farmers. So Control Shift O to go into what I call the full bookmarks, but Mozilla Firefox calls it library. And we'll delete that previous one, the drought monitor homepage. And we'll bookmark this Michigan specific one. Control Shift O to go back. And here's a Channel 3 article titled Kalamazoo Community Reacts to Juneteenth Becoming a National Holiday. Organizers said it wasn't long ago that Kalamazoo did not have a Juneteenth celebration. May said he hosted one of the first Juneteenth events in the Kalamazoo community in 2018. Well, that's amazing because they had them at Western a decade before that.
Like I would.
What, did you guys walk from down this way to the mall? Or did you guys walk from there?
That's not that way. Wait, that's like 80.
Well, let's see what Music on the Mall is for next Saturday. They don't chicken out again by some dark clouds. Next Saturday, Music on the Mall is First Generation Ma Entertainment. It says Music on the Mall continues until September 25th. And that second Saturday's thing is until October 9th. Here it also says First Gen Ma Entertainment. And then it's going to take Independence Weekend off. July 10th is to be announced. Following weeks, Cool Lemon, Lisa Can't Sing, Canola Band, as I mentioned last Saturday. Canola, when it's spelled with a C, for canola oil is derived from rapeseed. James Reeser and the backseat drivers, Hurricane, Roslyn Hart, Mainstays, Airtight, Dog Patch, Pinter Whitnick, and Trio Desino. Let's see. Last week I ended this thing at 7:30. I guess that would be a good time to do it again today. That guy who was walking his dog, air quotes walking, the guy who was standing on the skateboard while his dog pulled him. I think I'll make that the thumbnail for this video. There, I just updated the title and description and other information for this video. Well, hello. Maybe it's Ryan again, maybe. Let me know. Use the chat. I'm planning on wrapping this thing up at 7:30. I would have already ended it, but it was around this time last week that someone showed up and started using the chat to talk to me. So earlier I noted how much rain we'd got in the past 2 days. I don't know if you noticed that. I came up with a calculation of like over 3 inches of rain.
Give it to me. Listen. Tweedledee.
Ryan, how you doing, man? This is Bob and Potch. Woo! Father's Day. Good to see you, man.
I didn't even realize it was Father's Day. That would be tomorrow anyway. Uh, well, do you know how much rain we received the past 2 days? 1.13 inches yesterday, 2.53 today. How about that?
Netherlands?
No, we got the car from Amsterdam.
I lived there and I saw the plate.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So either that guy on the skateboard being pulled by his dog, or maybe that Dutch car. Those are both candidates for the thumbnail for this video, which is now concluding because it is 7:30 p.m. If I would hit the end button rather than edit. Edit. You went end, not edit.